everybody, this is Peggy. I am taking over Lisa's channel again for another reading. Now this is the Barbara Walker Tarot. Comes with a little white book, which I'll be using a little white book today. I did take a quick look through the book, and the book has a lot of Arthurian legend in it, that sort of thing. So it may not be as helpful as I prefer, but that's because I don't know anything about the Arthurian, about anything to do with Arthurian legend, Avalon, that sort of thing. So we shall see. We shall see. We will see the basic meanings, and we'll also take a look at the little white book, because we always do. And I will try to rifle the deck, because that's what I do when I can. I like the smaller decks, the poker size, because they're a lot easier to deal with for me. I got little hands, so let us see what the universe wants us to know this week. We're just going to stick with 3 cards. That's always fun. 5 of Swords, 8 of Wands, and the Pope reversed. Okay, so we have a major arcana right away, which usually indicates what kind of a outcome. Okay, it's at the end. It's not past, present, future, but it's like, you know, action, reaction, outcome. I kind of don't really decide. I kind of try not to decide what the cards in these positions mean until I actually see the cards, because sometimes I want to look at past, present, future, but that's not the message the universe has for you. And when you're doing a reading for the collective, at least my personal opinion, when you're doing a reading for the collective or something that's more generalized, then I just let the cards lead the way. But you've got that, you've got the Pope, but you've also got the 5 of Swords. And even though it's a minor, this 5 of Swords is all about, well, it says right there, the keyword, defeat. So you're going to start off, you know, something in your world is kind of turning to shit right now. Now, the good news is that this is just a week ahead. So when you're only looking in short pieces at a time, it might just be something small. It might be something relatively small in the grand scheme of things. If this was starting off a year ahead reading, I'd be saying, oh, you've got a lot of things that are, you know, I would look at this a little differently. This just could be that you're going to have a shit day at work that's going to lead to a shit that's going to take a few days to resolve. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the world for you, because don't forget, this is a weekly reading, not a year ahead, not a month ahead, not a lifetime lifestyle. This is just a generic reading for the collective. So this could just be a generic issue. But let's go look up the card anyway. Because I do like to work with every deck with its guidebook. I like to see what the guidebook says. I'm going to end up saying that so many times that you guys are going to get sick of hearing it. Anyway, so the guidebook on this says, hanging, now upright, reversed. So hanging on his, let's see if I can get this in here. I want to make sure I got a good view here. Hanging on his sacrificial tree, the god gives blood from the wound in his side to the fatal woman, who spin it into the red thread of life. The 3 Marys at the foot of Jesus' cross were paralleled in Norse myth by the 3 Norns. So this is the 3 Norns, I'm assuming. The 3 Norns at the foot of the world tree where Odin hung. So now there's a mythology to go look up. Where Odin hung, wounded in his side, waiting to attain his godhood. The 3 were also the Greek moray of fates, the spinner, measurer, and cutter. So the 3 fates. So they ruled even gods who won divinity by submitting to defeat and death. Odin takes the part of the card's traditional lord of defeat, representing self-abasement, passive endurance, swallowing of pride, submission to fate. So this is, so 5 of Swords. 5 of Swords is it says it right there. 5 of Swords is about defeat. And what's sitting here is, yeah, something's happening this week that you're not going to win at. Something's happening that you're not going to win at, and you're probably, this says self-abasement, passive endurance, swallowing of pride, submission to fate. So something's not going to go your way this week, and it's probably going to be your fault. That's kind of how I'm seeing that, because we're starting on to something that's going to end with the Pope reverse. But we'll get there. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but yeah, you're not going to be off. Something is going to happen in your week where you're not necessarily going to feel the great about it. And the 3 fates are down here. There's kind of an inevitability behind it. But again, like I said, when you're doing short-term readings, these can be small. These can be a short-term reading for what the next week looks like doesn't mean that, oh, your house is going to burn down and your dog is going to run away, and it doesn't mean those. It's not that level of horrible. You're looking at the small scale in your world, but something in your world you're gonna screw something up, and you're kind of faded. I don't know. I mean, that's for you to look at. Something's going to get screwed up because, like, Odin wasn't hanging on the tree because Odin was hung on the tree for a reason, so that he could attain something. So he gave up, but he did win more in the end. So maybe there's something going on with that. But that's not what this week looks like it's about. So the Eight of Wands. Now here it says fall. So let's look up the Eight of Wands. Seven of Wands. Eight of Wands fall. The hero slips from his seven. So this person is trying to attain godhood. So you're trying to make something happen, and it's not going to work out. Well, and apparently it's not going to work out. The hero slips from his heaven-climbing moon horse, dropping his wand in a barren landscape. Riding for a fall frequently expresses the Eight of Wands. Upward progress or an important journey like that of Papez on the Muse's flying horse Pegasus might be spoiled by over-aspiration. The eight means haste, excessive speed, overconfidence, hubris, also motion, travel, changes of scene. Okay, so here's what's going on. This one's pretty simple. This one bleeds. This moves straight into the other. So something is not going to go your way, and it's kind of fated to go that way, and that's why. This is why, because maybe you were so sure, maybe you were so confident that it was a sure thing that you didn't do anything to, well, what if it doesn't work out? Right? Well, then you're sitting here. You're sitting here stuck to that fucking tree, right? So let's go over this one again. Let's go over. The eight means haste, excessive speed, overconfidence, hubris, also motion, travel, changes of scene. Now, hubris is this thing where it's like, no, it'll be fine. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So you make no plan. When hubris means that you're so confident that it works out that you make really stupid mistakes. And we see it when public figures end up saying something really stupid, and everybody's like, you're an idiot. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get too much into detail in that direction. And it doesn't mean, like I said, we're only looking at a week. So you're probably going to lose at something, and it's probably already too late to affect the outcome. The fates are waiting for you here, but you're going to realize what you did wrong to make it happen. And thank God it's only a week ahead. We're not talking about earth-shattering things. Maybe you're going to fail a test because you thought you knew everything. That's hubris. So I know enough to pass. This is fine. You didn't know enough to pass. I know enough to get a solid C, and I don't care about my grades, so I'm not going to worry about studying. Well, you didn't know enough, and if you just studied, you could have got that. You could have guaranteed your bare minimum. Who knows, right? So these two are not, sorry, it's going to be your fault. Whatever's going on is going to be your fault. And that's probably, again, we're back to hanging on that tree with the 5 swords there. It's probably going to sting a little when you realize, oh man, I screwed that up. This didn't need to happen. I screwed this up. I made this happen because, thank God it's only a week. Maybe it's just, like I said, getting a crappy grade on a test. Maybe you're going to get a speeding ticket. Oh, it's okay if I go a little fast through this area because I always do. That's hubris again. And that's also speed, excessive speed, haste. Who knows? Anyway, something's going to happen. It's going to be your fault. And you're not going to feel great about it. Fated to happen means it's probably a habit that you already have that's going to kind of blow up in your face a little bit. So, like I said, like that last example I said about speeding, right? So it's like if you have a tendency to speed through certain areas and you end up getting stopped and getting a ticket, that it's like, oh man, this is not the week to get a $200 ticket for speeding. I have no idea what speeding tickets cost, so I'm just making up a number. Oh man, this is not the week to get it. This is not the week. I'm up here on the tree because this is not the week for me to get a speeding ticket. I can't afford it. But it was kind of fated to be because I don't slow down when I know I should. Right? So it can be something pretty simple. I see these and it's like, oh man, it's going to be really easy to get stuck in your own head and start looking for disasters. So let's see what the Pope has to say. Now the Pope is card number 5, and I do have to look it up by the number because I'm not sure. This is reversed. I can't just look at these. I can't just glance at these and know what they are. Not if they're not named, but So far, it's a nice deck. I like the symbology, by the way. I like the symbology. Now, as a beginner, I'm looking at the references to mythologies, which is fine, which is really, really good, but I'm not up to date on a lot. I love mythology, so it's like, oh yeah, oh Odin did this, yeah, the fates, yeah, but I don't have enough. I'd have to go study this. This would be a great study deck. Like, look, he's on the horse. He's on the winged horse, but he's just hanging on because his foot happens to be hooked on something, and all of his wands are dropping to the ground. And he's going through the dark. The moon's up. The moon's not full. He shouldn't even be flying that high when the moon's that dark, right? So, a lot of the symbologies are there. Now, this is the Pope. Like I said, we did get him reversed, so we're going to look at that in a minute and see what that means. There's the Pope. The staff is there. The cross is there. It looks almost like it's upside down, but that's just the way the art is drawn. But it's good. I like the art. The crossed keys. The supplicants. There's even a little. I don't know what that is. I think it's either a bat or a little devil in the corner. So let's see what the Pope is. The Pope is the Pope. It doesn't tell me what it crosses with. So emperors, Papez. That should be the Hierophant. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna have to go by the. You know what? I'm gonna yell at my wife and ask, "Hey, honey, what does the Pope correspond to?" I got it right. It is the Hierophant. Okay, it's the Hierophant. I got it right. I got one. This always confuses me. That's a personal thing. Forever noob. Okay, with tiara, gloves, and a papal staff, the Pope sits between two pillars that support air. A tiny devil. Oh, it was a devil. A tiny devil peeking around them. Two acolytes kneel at its feet, corresponding to two devotees on the matching devil card. Okay. As a holy man, the tarot's Pope is identified as much with a pagan high priest, a Hierophant. Oh, it says Hierophant right there. The Mithraic Pater Patri, and even the phallic father god of Rome, as with the Christian pontiff. His card means spiritual authority, moral law, or political. Oh, okay. So, spiritual authority, moral laws, political power plays, perhaps excessive rigidity or intolerance verging on fanaticism. So when this card's reversed, he's not, those elements are still at play about spiritual authority, moral law, political power plays, but I'm going to guess right now, with these cards being like, well, you screwed up, it was kind of your fault, that this is going to be all about how did you screw up? How did you screw up and what are you going to do to learn from it? So, because you've got the two devotees, and they said it says right here it's from the Devil card, which makes a lot of sense. So, how are you going to? Like I said, if it's just simply speeding, it's like, well, moral law, the spiritual authority, blah blah blah. It's going to be like, okay, I need to make some changes, or I'm going to keep having this problem, right? Whatever it is. So this card is about this card is about the spiritual lesson you're going to learn. I don't think it's about getting a speeding ticket. I think it's maybe you're going to get an argument with your partner that you could have avoided if you'd have behaved a certain way or been aware of certain things. This card means spiritual authority, moral law, political power plays, excessive rigidity or intolerance verging on fanaticism. Now, you don't like excessive rigidity or intolerance verging on fanaticism could be what it is. That doesn't sound like a positive trait that you would associate with cards. So this might be something that you could be looking at as the negative of the card. But so something's going to happen, and this is where your feels are going to live. This is where your feels are going to live. So this is what you need to focus on: is what energy. How do you turn this card? How do you turn this card from its negative aspects back into its positives? So that's just really, so this is what's going to happen, and this is the lesson you should be making an effort to learn from it. Okay, let's go back to the other example. You know that if you get you can pass your test with a C, but you've decided to I don't need to study, I know enough, but you didn't, so now you fail. So what's the lesson? It's like, well, always build in a buffer. Always build in, do it. If you're positive that you're going to pass, and not concerned with, I'm not concerned with the high grade and I know I'm going to pass. It's like, well, if I screw that up, I'm going to be sitting over here because I screwed that up. It's my own fault because I thought I took a chance and lost. So maybe I should have at least studied for an hour or so, so I could have been, if I'm confident in a B, then if I'm wrong, I'm still going to get a C, right? So I do think it's a bit more of an interpersonal thing that now that I've seen the meaning of the Pope, I am kind of retracting my original comments and saying that I think it may be more of an interpersonal issue than an actual tangible issue like a speeding ticket. And like I said, we're only looking ahead to a week. It's not going to make and break your life. It's not going to be that kind of a problem, but it is a problem. And negative, and learn negative. This is all about the lesson that you need to learn. This is a card that you should be focusing on because this is kind of already set in stone. So maybe something that by the time you're seeing this, you've probably already done the thing that's going to cause this as a reaction. This does seem more like a reaction than an action that's about to happen. So this has probably already happened. And this is kind of, because Odin sought godhood, ended up on the tree. Now, don't forget, Odin eventually became a god. Okay? So this isn't about that Odin lost and he's not going to get there. It's about Odin miscalculated and screwed something up and maybe had to rethink how he was going to go about it. Okay, it's not you fucked up, you fail, don't pass go, no $200. It's this is where you are, this is why you're there, and this is how you need to move forward. Okay? And I think that's all I really need to say about that. Maybe you know what? I'm going to draw one extra card because I can. So we got the Pope over here. So is there something really simple about all of this that you can focus on? Princess of Wands. So what can you focus on that's going to... I just took the top card. I didn't shuffle again, which I probably should have, but it's when you don't know what's there. But let's see if it's going to tell you anything to focus on. So the Princess of Wands, floating between sun and moon, the sea goddess represents giving and taking, her traditional breast offering pose, countered by the dangerous, devouring vagina dentata. This makes absolutely no sense to me as a card because these are concepts I haven't really heard of. Like other forms of the Middle Eastern goddess, Ishtar. This is Ishtar, stood for both nurture and destruction. It's Kalima. At Dar in Babylon, she devoured the phallic god Oannes and gave him rebirth, a myth later repeated as the biblical story of Jonah. Her card symbolizes irresistible power, a perilous compulsion symbolized by another of her totems. Okay, so this is what you need to learn about today. By another of her totems, the spider, though risky, her path might bring great reward. So, though risky, her path might bring great reward. So basically, this is about where you're going to need to put your energy right now at Targatus. So where you're going to need to put energy right now is into nurture and destruction. So the Princess of Wands is all about nurturing energy, helping things to grow, this sort of thing. But obviously when this energy is turned off or turned toxic, it's destructive. So what you need to think about is whatever's going on, how can you work with that to turn it back into the nurturing thing that it should have been all along in order to keep that guy upright, right? So that is the mitigating card. So this looks like it's already set in stone. This is the lesson that you need to learn, and this is what you need to focus on to help you learn that lesson. And it's nurturing energy. So maybe what you did was a little selfish, self-centered, possibly. We all do that. It's normal human behavior. And like I said, maybe it's literally just taking the last cookie and pissing off a sibling. It doesn't need to be the end of the world, but it is a lesson that you can learn if you choose to learn it. Okay, so with that done, I'm not going to keep drawing cards because I could just end up making everything confused and muddy. I'm going to stop here. And here's a few more of the cards for anybody who cares. I know a bunch of people asked for a reading with this deck, and I don't know if it was because they wanted to see the deck or just see how it read. I'm okay with how it reads. I don't know that I would continue to use the little white book as the book. Not without going ahead and actually, like the internet Google is your friend. So looking up more about the mythologies behind each individual card meaning that she's using and how she's using it, these are just the extra cards, would be really, really helpful. So this would be a good deck if you want to do deep dives into mythology. If you already know the tarot, the symbology was already on the card, so that part's good. I like that. The Little White Book, even the Little White Book was a little bit verging on my, like I said, I'm a forever noob, so it was kind of at my limit of what makes sense to me, but that's a me problem because I am a forever noob. So, yeah, I like the deck. I really enjoyed the deck, though. Anyway, that is your reading. You guys have a great day. Like, comment, do all the things. If you do have a particular deck you want to see, there's no guarantee that we can do all of them, but I'm more than happy to work with them as I encounter requests for them. And in the meantime, have a good week. Don't screw your shit up too badly. And if you do screw it up, apparently you've already screwed it up. So just focus on the things that are going to make things better going forward. So your focus this week is not what's going to happen, but on how to manage, improve, or learn from those outcomes to make sure it doesn't happen again. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to get going now. You guys have a great day. Bye.